Brady Cook's touchdown pass looked even more impressive on TV. But you know what? Sam Horn's interception, it kind of was his fault, but not for the reasons you're thinking. So let's talk about that and more of my analysis of the film coming up right now on Locked On Mizzou.
You are Locked On Mizzou, your daily podcast on the Missouri Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, all you true sons and daughters, I'm John Miller, your Mizzou mafioso and the central scrutinizer of Missouri Tigers football and basketball. And these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Locked On College. Terms and conditions apply. And after diving deeply in, of course, to the Missouri film, my film, I should say, I am that big of a dork, ladies and gentlemen. I actually take film with my iPhone instead of actually watching the game. This is what has become of my existence. But after looking at all of it, I definitely have some different observations than I had after the game. So it's going to be a good episode of Locked On Mizzou. And first of all, I just want to be clear after last episode, when I said that 2023 so far through one game looks a lot like 2022. Well, I want to be clear. 2022 was not all bad, but certainly I wanted to see a little bit more improvement on the offensive side of the ball, a little bit more difference on the offensive side of the ball in week one. But you know what? Hopefully week two against a more real opponent in Middle Tennessee, maybe we'll see something a little bit different. But according to Brady Cook, by the way, he said, quote, "It's a world of difference in terms of just having experience this year." He says, "I remember just not feeling my feet on the ground. I wasn't comfortable last year versus Louisiana Tech." Of course, that's in the opener of last season's game. He continues saying, "I had nerves and none of that was there this time around. I felt more prepared. I felt confident. I think it's just all the experience that's really helped me." And for all of the talk of this past year and this offseason of how Brady Cook is sort of unwilling to push the ball down the field and maybe take chances, well, I think we saw a more confident player in week one, especially when you really dive more deeply into the film, because in my opinion, Cook's touchdown pass from my vantage point looked much more impressive than it probably looked on television, just from the sideline cam. If you looked at it from the end zone, as we're going to look at it right now, I think you'll be much more impressed. In fact, I'm going to do something a little different here for those of you on YouTube. I'm actually going to pull up the video right now. And for those of you on audio, I'm just going to describe it to you here so you're not going to get lost whatsoever. But you know what? Let's pull up that touchdown pass right now. So here is Brady Cook's touchdown pass, a 5-wide empty set here for Missouri and a throwback to the Chase Daniel era. And I think Brady's first read here is to Luther Burden here on the slot on the left side of the formation here. We'll just roll it forward here, and as you can see, well, Burden is pretty well certainly doubled, if not triple covered here. Now, the first thing I want to point out here is it's 3rd down and 5. You can see that Theo Weiss here is on the side with Burden. He runs a quick little hitch route, and he's pretty open, too. Now, for those of you who think, well, maybe Brady Cook takes the safe pass too often, you can see here Brady Cook is looking to this side of the field. He could throw it to Weiss here for a fairly easy catch and a first down, quite possibly, if you want to nitpick here. But actually, Cook takes the harder throw. He takes the riskier throw, and he makes a really nice one here to Mekhi Miller here on the right side of the formation in the slot. Roll it forward here. 49 has him on the inside, but Cook obviously looks back Miller's way, sees this matchup, and, well, it's not obvious he's wide open at this moment. Cook really does need to throw Miller open at this moment. And in fact, it takes a perfect pass right over the umpire's head. If this ball's thrown behind him, that's possibly intercepted. But in fact, that's an absolutely perfect ball right on Miller's hands. He's able to just fall into the end zone for an easy Missouri touchdown. Honestly, I think that was an even prettier pass, in my opinion, than it probably looked on television. I thought it looked great from my vantage point, which you all can see here. Just a nice ball by Cook. Easy touchdown for Miller. So on Horn's interception, I had a lot of people immediately come to his defense, and understandably so, because quite honestly, this is a ball that Mekhi Miller should have caught. Yes, it's a tiny bit behind him. It's a tiny bit low, but this ball hits him in both hands. He gets two hands on it, and I think any receiver will tell you that he should have come down with that. So not the greatest throw by Horn, but it wasn't terrible either. I agree that it's more on Miller than it is on Horn. However, Sam is more at fault than I think people are willing to admit, or at least actually more than they realize would be a better way of saying that, because what I don't think people realize is that while they're focusing on number 10 on this play, Mekhi Miller, they should be focusing on number 11 here, Dennis Jackson here on the right side of the formation, because look where he runs. He runs absolutely wide open. And again, Horn should be able to see this. It's right in front of him. He just takes the safe sort of check down route here in a little bit of a robotic quarterback mode. I'm a little bit surprised because for all the talk of, well, you know, Cook needs to be more aggressive, Horn seems like he's a more aggressive player. He really missed a wide open deep shot here, and that's something that he's going to obviously see on film. The Tigers will talk about it with him, but you know, it would have been nice to see him maybe set his feet here and throw a more accurate ball as well. But to me, more importantly, you've got exactly what you want here. If 11 isn't your number one option, he should be, because my goodness, that is the most wide open anybody's ever going to get in college football. Well, I thought Brady Cook's touchdown pass was actually the best ball he threw all day. Well, I thought Sam Horn's most impressive pass was actually the exact same play to my eyes. Again, an empty formation here, Burden to the left, Weiss also to the left, Mekhi Miller to the right in the slot. And once again, well, it's a ball. Quarterback looks to his left, comes back to his right, throws a ball over number 49's head to Mekhi Miller once again. So it's really a similar coverage, certainly. Looks like basically the exact same play. Weiss and Burden are certainly running the same route. Mekhi is as well. His route's a little bit deeper, as Missouri isn't in the red zone here, but this is, for all intents and purposes, this is the exact same play. So this is a route and a combination that Missouri feels comfortable in, and certainly both quarterbacks feel comfortable with too. So look for this play a lot in the coming weeks here. Now, at least 2 or 3 times against South Dakota, I thought that the outside rush by South Dakota got way too close to our place kicks for my comfort, including on this 47-yard miss here by Harrison Mevis. If you watch the outside players here, the tight ends actually, 87 on the left, Brett Norfleet, and 80 on the right, Tyler Stevens. Well, both of them do the same thing in that they don't really block the outside man. Stevens here in particular on the right side, you'll notice that with his left hand, he simply puts it on the back of his teammate and then attempts with his right arm to then quickly go the other way and I guess get a hand on that outside player. But unfortunately, he does not get a hand on this guy. Again, watch what I'm describing here. I'm going to run this back for you slowly a little bit. Stevens initially goes to his left, puts his hand on number 50's back, but then takes a step back to his right, attempts to get a hand on this guy, doesn't. The player for South Dakota nearly blocks the kick off the outside. Again, this was not the only example of this I could show you, but I'm just going to show you this one here. I just don't understand what Missouri is doing here in terms of field goal protection. Frankly, South Dakota was lucky they didn't get a running into the kicker penalty there after the guy trips up Mevis. after the kick. But again, look at Norfleet on the left as well. He does the same thing here, 87. Just basically pushes his teammate in the backside, doesn't really block anybody. Now, obviously, his side isn't a problem. There's anybody rushing from the outside. But on Steven's side on the right, is this good protection in your opinion? Wouldn't it be better if he just actually blocked that man instead of half-heartedly trying to push him in the back at the last second? To me, this is a little too cute by half by Eli Drinkwitz in the Missouri special teams unit. And coming up, more observations from week one, including, frankly, I feel bad that I didn't mention Johnny Walker. He played so well in week one. We got to mention that young man, plus all my other observations from the South Dakota game. But first, I want to tell you about LinkedIn Jobs, because these days, every new potential hire can really feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. So, of course, you want to be as close to 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates on the market. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. All you got to do is just add the purple hashtag hiring frame to your current LinkedIn profile to help spread the word that you're hiring. Really, when you find the right candidate, it's the best thing you can possibly do, because it's not like spending money. It's not money burnt. It's a true trade where you have money and value added to your life. So you know what? LinkedIn Jobs, again, will help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. College football season is back, and this season Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On College Football Live each Friday. Locked On will go live from 10 a.m. to noon Central Time on every Locked On College YouTube channel. That's College Football Kickoff Live. We got playoff implications, the rivalry games, going in-depth like only Locked On can, with our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff live every Friday from 10 a.m. to noon on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. And you know what? I frankly missed something from my previous program. You know, it happens sometimes. This is an opinion-based program, and you just want to get your hottest takes out there, right? And sometimes you miss a few things. Well, I really did neglect to mention that Johnny Walker really stood out on the edge for Missouri, the defensive end. You know, obviously defensive end, a big talking point in the preseason. Well, obviously it wasn't against the best competition in South Dakota. But if Johnny Walker looks anything like he looked in week one for the rest of the season, that's a really good sign for Missouri. Some interesting comments from Ennis Rakestraw after the game. He said, "Johnny has been my roommate since I came to college. I always knew what he could do. Johnny came in at 180 pounds, so he was really small. I thought he was a receiver, but he worked and had opportunities to leave if he wanted. And he stayed and bought in, and look at him and what he's doing for the Tigers." So I hope Ennis Rakestraw is right. Hopefully week one is a harbinger of great things to come for Missouri at that edge position. So far, so good for Johnny Walker. No doubt about that. And you know what? If I'm going to nitpick Sam Horn's decision to not take a deep shot downfield, well, I got to be fair and do the same thing to Brady Cook as well. So let's do that coming up right after these quick words. Now, if I'm going to nitpick Sam Horn on not taking a deep shot, well, I got to do the same thing with Brady Cook here, because actually, you know what? This actual throw by Brady Cook, he throws it here on an out to Luther Burden, nearly completed. This is a pretty good ball by Cook, right on his fingertips, just outside of his reach. Not a bad throw, not an easy throw at all, and throws a pretty accurate ball here. I didn't mind this throw, the execution of the pass itself whatsoever. However, the actual decision here, you see, when Burden is grabbed here by, and he has a perfect pocket here, by the way. Cook has all the time in the world to see this. When he sees this deep safety here on the left take Burden, well, he should know that, I believe it's Theo Weiss there on the right side, number 1. I think that's who it is. We can't tell just because I'm a ways away here in the stands, but I do believe that's Theo Weiss. And, I mean, that is a track meet. The old saying, if he's even, he's leaving. Well, he's not even even here. I mean, if this is soccer, Theo Weiss is offsides. I mean, that is a touchdown if Brady Cook throws that pass. So that's one I guarantee you he'd like to have back. If he's watching film this week, he's going, oh, man, I really missed a chance at a deep shot there. But, again, I thought Brady was appropriately aggressive on the 3rd and 5 touchdown ball. Right here, I bet Brady would like to have this one back for sure. And finally, certainly, while there were some exciting plays in the Missouri opener, objectively speaking, I think the biggest reaction of the night from the crowd was for Kobe Brown. Of course, Demoy Hodge, who I think is going to be a Los Angeles Laker. That was a hot take a few months ago by myself. Not so much now. That seems to be conventional wisdom at this point. Demoy, great to see him. He got a big reaction from the crowd, but my goodness, Kobe Brown was treated like a conquering hero returning home. It was an incredible reaction for Kobe. I don't know how it came off on TV, if it was shown on TV at all, but in the stadium, I knew he was going to get a big reaction, but my goodness, that was quite the pop. It really was. And that just made me think, for the very, very small, but I guess somewhat vocal minority of people who thought Kobe should have came back to Missouri before he got picked in the first round. All those people got oddly quiet after Kobe got taken in the first round. Clearly, the young man made the correct decision for his basketball career. I think even if he wouldn't have gone in the first round, let's say he went in the middle of the second, I still think it was the right decision for Kobe. Clearly, he showed in the summer league. I think he's an NBA player. How good he ends up being in his career, obviously a lot of that's going to be up to him. But I think anybody who discounted that young man for being too old or whatever kind of missed the point, because if you're a versatile forward, a guy who's a legit 6'8", a guy who has versatility, can put the ball on the floor, big enough to bully you in the paint, knock down a three-pointer, that is a rare commodity. It's a reason why Kobe was so good last season at Missouri. And by the way, my main point here is basically that, yes, obviously Kobe made the right basketball choice, but if anybody thought for 1 second that Kobe Brown, that there was going to be some bad feelings by Missouri, well, you could have come back for one more year. Are you kidding me? It's so rare to even have a guy who stays for 4 years at this point. You could just feel the absolute appreciation and love that Kobe Brown has for Missouri fans. And, just this last senior year for him, obviously Dennis Gates' first year, just an incredible thing for Kobe Brown. If he would have decided to move on after Conzo Martin was fired, who could have really blamed him? Honestly, I don't even think Missouri fans would have been mad at him. We would have understood for the most part. But the fact that he did come back, had that 1 year, that senior season, that really special year with the Tigers, the guy's kind of a legend, almost more so even than his basketball acumen would lead you to believe. So Kobe Brown, great to see you. Hope you keep coming back. And after a reaction like that, I bet he keeps coming back. Who wouldn't like to feel that love? But you know what? Thanks to all of you for showing me some love on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, the whole deal. Of course, Amazon Music for you Prime subscribers. If you would like an ad-free version of this show as well, that's a great option for you. And for you everydayers, of course, thanks for being here. As always, you guys are my favorite. And come Monday, we're going to have more to talk about, maybe a little bit more about this game. But of course, we're going to mostly start focusing our attention on Middle Tennessee in week 2. So I'm going to see you on Monday right here on Locked On Mizzou.